Hey guys, so I just got back from the theater from seeing the intern. I know it's been a few days. I know I didn't do a movie review this weekend. If you didn't see my last video, the reason for that was because I was in North Carolina and I was visiting family for my niece's second birthday. So I was, you know, wasn't able to go to the theaters. I had, too much going on over the weekend, and I when I got home yesterday, like late last night, and I had to work, and so I went to the theater. Uh, just about, just got back home from the theater about maybe about an hour ago, and I decided to go see the intern. This is one of those weeks where really there's nothing out, other than Scout's Guide. Last week there was nothing out. Like there was Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, which I heard was really, really bad. There was, I don't know what else. I think that's about it. And our brand is Crisis, which looked bad for me. To me, it looked bad, and I heard it was supposed to be pretty bad. So I was like, well, I just gotta pick a movie out of the hat, I guess. And I said, what the hell? I'll go see the intern. It was a movie that I got a few previews for over the last, like about like in August and September. I got previews for it, and I was like, "This looks harmless." From Nancy Meyers, who I thought was dead. I still don't know who the hell who I was thinking about that was dead. That there's another director or writer that does romantic comedies. I was thinking about that it was dead, but apparently it's not Nancy Meyers because she's still making movies. And I was like, I remember she makes some harmless romantic comedies. They're all the same, but whatever. And it was starring Robert De Niro, and Anne Hathaway. I'm like, all right, this could be a decent little flick. Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers and going, that doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look like offensive or anything. I said, that looks harmless. I said, I haven't really heard many bad things about it. I just heard it was okay. So I'm like, all right. Check it out. The hell. And you know what? For the most part, yeah, it was. It was harmless. It was a decent sit. It was sit throughable. There you go. There's your review. Bye. I'll give you more in depth on that. Yeah, I would honestly say this would be, if I were to say, would I go see it in a movie theater? Nah. Maybe a cheap theater or a rental. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a decent sit. If your girlfriend wants to see it or anybody like that. Yeah, it's a decent sit. It's not bad. It has some weird stuff in it, which I'll talk about, but that make it kind of entertaining for all the wrong reasons, but I'll talk about that in a second. The acting in this movie is fine. Is good. I like De Niro. I've always liked Robert De Niro. He's awesome in this movie. Even when he's in a bad movie, he can be, even when he's phoning it in, he can still be kind of entertaining. Little fuckers, I'm looking right at you. This movie, he is decent. Like, he's the likable grandpa-esque character, and it's kind of weird seeing him do this stuff like this nowadays when he, made a career out of being really intimidating characters like Taxi Driver, for fuck's sake. Yeah. And seeing the guy that did Taxi Driver doing shit like this is kind of just, thinking about that makes me kind of, chuckle to myself. He's doing, very soft roles like this. Every so often he'll do roles like that. What was that? He was in American Hustle, and he was fucking amazing. Spoiler alert, if you've never seen American Hustle, he makes a cameo, and he has a very short scene, and he's fucking intimidating. It's so effective. But he, I remember that was the last role where I actually was like, holy shit, is he kind of frightening. But he, for the most part, over the last few years, he's been doing these kinds of roles, and he's fine in it. And he's, like I said, he's fucking Robert De Niro. He's a fucking amazing actor. I mean, I don't think there's much to say about it. The guy can act his way out of a paper bag. Anne Hathaway is one of those actresses also that I kind of like. I don't mind her. I know a lot of people don't like her because she is kind of pretentious and stuck up. It kind of comes off that way, but I do like her, and I thought she was fine in this movie too, for her role. This is a movie that's not gonna be known for its amazing performances. It's a great story. It's a movie that, okay, it could have been a lot worse if it was the acting. They didn't have the right actors in this movie, and because of the actors in this movie, it does help this movie kind of make it more watchable. And Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro are great. Also, it was nice to see Rene Russo. I've said this last year when I saw Nightcrawler. I said, I need more Rene Russo. Rene Russo's fucking awesome. If you haven't seen Nightcrawler, she was amazing in that movie. And she's awesome in the scenes that she's in as the masseuse that works at the office that he's working at and starts a weird little relationship with Robert De Niro. Even though I was sitting there thinking about it, I was like, he's 70 and she's got to be in her 50s, if not. So he's about 20 years older than she is. That's kind of weird a little bit, but whatever, it kind of works. It would have been a lot weirder if like something like Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro got together. That would be fucking weird. I remember when I first heard about this movie, I was like, oh my god, like that's creepy on all accounts. Luckily, they don't go that route. I'll say that right now. They don't. He's just like a friend to her, stuff like that. It's a stereotypical Nancy Meyers movie. You've seen one, you've seen them all. You've seen this movie probably a million times before. It has all the same cliches. You see, like, Anne Hathaway is this stereotypical character, hard-working mom who doesn't have time for her family and just doesn't know when to quit working and enjoy life. And Robert De Niro is the guy that helps change her life and makes her see her life in a different way, and blah 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 blah. You've seen it fucking a million times before. But it's harmless. It's like, again, it's harmless for the most part. Like for the first hour of this movie, I'm sitting there like, it's alright. This is alright little flick. It's, like I said, sit throughable. Like, there's nothing really wrong with it. Yeah, there was like boner jokes, which, what the fuck with De Niro? This is like the second movie or third movie I've seen of it, like, past 10 years where a woman's giving him a massage. Rene Russo's giving him a massage and he gets a boner. It's like, why? Like, there's the scene in the Fokker movies, Meet the Fockers, when Barbara Streisand's giving him a massage, and then he takes boner pills and Little Fockers. Yes, I saw Little Fockers. Yeah, it's like, what is up with you and your fucking boner jokes in these movies? Like, for De Niro, fucking quit it. He's a better actor than that. There's also like a hilarious scene where Rene Russo and looks like he's giving him a blowjob, and and one of the interns walks in like, oh. Other than that, like, the first hour, there wasn't, like, it didn't get really, like, it was a standard story, and it had, like, little parts like that in it, but it wasn't, like, all over the place. Then the second hour of this movie hit, and that's where the movie kind of started to fall off the fucking rails for me a little bit. And the fact that, while it did fall off the rails, it did make it really fucking entertaining. Because there's some weird fucking shit that goes on in the second hour of this movie. Oh my god. Okay, so there's a scene, I'll just go through, like, the weirdest parts of this movie. And this will go into spoilers, so I'll tell you that right now. There's a scene where, halfway through the movie, Anne Hathaway sends a email to what she thinks is her husband about her mom, and calls her a terrorist and like a fucking bitch or something like that, something really hateful, and she accidentally sends it to her mom. Oh my god! Instead of, like, maybe saying, hey mom, that was an accident. I apologize, stuff like that, yada, 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 like a normal person would. No, what does she do? She has her IT department. She goes to her IT department, her working on something on her report on her website. She's like, you gotta stop what you're doing and go get this email deleted off her. He's like, we can't, like, I'm like, really? How the hell do you have a successful business, first off? And two, it's like the guy's like, you can't really hack into your mom's computer. And, like, she's like, oh, crap, what am I supposed to do? And her idea is send the interns, Robert De Niro and the fellow interns, to go to break into her mom's house and steal her computer. Or if they can't delete the email from her computer at home, they'll have to steal it. And I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? At that point, I was like, what? Why? This is like, it comes out of nowhere and it has nowhere, doesn't belong anywhere in a fucking movie like this at all. And it's like, what the fuck? I was like, but that's not even the weirdest thing in this movie. There's a scene, I'm not making this up. This might be one of the weirdest scenes I've seen in 2015. And that's saying a lot. In the fact that I've seen, like, you know, The Green Inferno and shit like that. And the fact that there's a scene in this movie, and I'm not making this up, where Rene Russo and Robert De Niro go on their first date. Now, where do you go on your first date? Dinner? A movie? Where do you think they went? Take a guess. I guarantee you can't fucking figure it out. A fucking funeral. I am not making that up. Like, there's like a running little joke at the beginning of the movie where he talks about he's lonely, his wife died, and he keeps going to all his friends' funerals because all his friends keep dying, which is kind of depressing. But then they turn it into a fucking joke. And the fact that, like, a funny scene, I think, what was supposed to be a funny scene, and the fact that, like you're like, what the fuck? Like, he's taking his girlfriend on a fucking funeral, on a date to a funeral, and they explain it that they had plans, but then all of a sudden, unexpectedly, one of his friends die. But then the movie, they sit down next to the guy whose wife just died, and the guy turns to Robert De Niro and goes, nice to see you come here. He says, thank you for coming. He says, is that your date for the funeral? I said, yeah. He's like, nice. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's not a reaction of a fucking normal person at a funeral. They're not, like, complimenting their best friend on who they're fucking. And then there's a woman who has the hots for Robert De Niro and sees him with Rene Russo at the funeral and flipping him off while they're carrying a casket down the aisle. I am not making this up. It's all in one scene, and then, like, it's supposed to be emotional, and it, like, it's a fucking scene that's all over the place. It's a weird fucking scene. It has to be seen to believe. Weirdest scene, one of the weirdest scenes in 2015. And then when I think this movie couldn't get any weirder, they throw in a infidelity storyline in the last hour of this movie between Anne Hathaway and her husband. And Robert De Niro finds out, and he, I thought they were going to go the route of, like, there was going to be a misunderstanding, or he doesn't want to tell her, and then she finds out he knows, or something like that, and then she fires him. I thought they were going that route, but they didn't, which I was kind of surprised and I was happy about, because that was, that would have been a little bit too predictable. But, no. There's a scene where they go to San Francisco right after he finds out, and they're sitting on a bed in a hotel, like, talking, drinking wine, just talking normal talk, and she brings up that she knows about her husband cheating on her, and oh my god, they're like, all right, no, that they didn't go to the predictable route. I was actually surprised by it. I was like, oh, cool. But then she starts crying and going on about, oh my god, what if my husband leaves me and marries another woman, and then my daughter marries a man, and then I'm left alone by myself, and I'll be buried alone. Oh my god, it's just like sitting there crying about this. Legitimately, it's really fucking weak for Man Halfway. It was pretty stupid, like lines of dialogue. Which, first off, one, people are buried by themselves all the goddamn time. It's not abnormal, people. And two, Robert De Niro then says one of the weirdest parts of this fucking movie. He's like, well, I have a plot with me and my wife. I can have you be put in that plot too. And she just goes along with it. And I'm like, and then they like jokingly say, well, we can't be closer. I don't think there's any way we could be closer. We're going to be buried next to each other. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? I'm like, this is fucking weird. Like, what the hell? Like, it's a weird. Like, that last hour was fucking weird. Like, it's just a weird shit. That's the three things that stood out. Like, and there's also, like, stupid lines of dialogue that nobody would ever fucking say. Like, I remember, the one I remember the most was when Anne Hathaway's standing outside of her house at the beginning, towards the beginning of the movie, and she's like, I love living in this place. It just looks so happy. Who the fuck says dialogue like that? Who the hell talks like that? Shut up. Like, it's like, it's so dumb. Like, there's some really dumb moments in this movie, but it's like, even in the dumb moments, it's kind of like I'd recommend seeing it, just to see these weird moments in it. Yeah, I recommend the movie. It's like for a rental or cheap theater, not pay. I wouldn't say pay full admission, because of how prices are nowadays. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite new words. Is sit throughable. I've heard somebody, if you don't know why I say that, I've heard somebody describe a movie as sit throughable before, and now I have to fucking steal that. But anyways, that's as far as my review for The Intern. And I didn't get any new previews, so that's why I'm not talking about previews. But I'll be back in the next week or so, probably by the weekend. I'm hoping the weekend, but if not, next week, I'll be with reviews for the Peanuts movie and Spectre. So I'll be back on those days, and I'll see you guys later.